guys, and welcome back to my channel. I'm really sorry about the setup of this angle in this video. It's kind of the best that I'm working with right now as far as lighting and like where I can put my camera with the newborn right now. But yeah, I hope you guys can just bear with me. Today's video I want to do my 1 month baby and postpartum update. She's actually almost 6 weeks old now. Today's Saturday, she'll be 6 weeks on Tuesday. She'll be 6 weeks old on Tuesday, but I haven't had a chance to sit down and film this video for you guys yet. And then as you can see, when I do film, she's pretty much either attached to me or she's going to be sleeping in that crib because for the time being I don't have any like baby care. My parents are out of town and my husband works, so she's all me 24/7, which I'm totally fine with. I love taking care of her, it's a joy. But yeah, today's video I'm just going to be talking about like her 1 month update, my 1 month postpartum update, and yeah, give you guys the lowdown. I think I'm actually going to update you guys on her first. So like I said, she's almost 6 weeks old at this point. At her 1 month checkup, she weighed 7 pounds 15 ounces, and that was actually a few days after she had turned for a month, not 4 weeks, but a month. And that was like last Thursday or something, last Monday or something. It really wasn't that long ago. So she was 7 pounds 15 ounces, and when she was born she was 6 pounds 5 ounces. And then I don't think I ever shared this with you guys, but she went all the way down to 5 pounds 11 ounces when we took her to the pediatrician after we got home from the hospital, and they said that that was kind of a little, not too much, but if she had lost any more that it wouldn't have been okay. So she was literally at the cutoff line. So they actually had to supplement her over the weekend. So like 2 days they had a supplement with a little bit of formula. And at that point my milk hadn't fully come in yet, so she was still only getting colostrum. And I had actually had a pretty bad injury on this boob from her eating on me in the hospital for too long. So I really couldn't latch her onto this side. I could only latch her onto the right side. So she was only getting colostrum from one boob, which is totally like why she lost so much weight. So they had me supplement her with a little bit of formula over the weekend, and it was only after I was finished breastfeeding her that I would give her, I think they wanted like 20, I don't remember how much. It was like this much formula. And so my husband and I were trying to supplement her. My milk was coming in at that point though, so every time we would try to give her the formula, she would spit it out, and she like hated the taste of it. Plus it was cold, which I'm sure she didn't like. So she, we supplemented her, but she really wasn't taking it. She didn't like it at all. She would just spit 90% of it out. And so on Monday we went back in and they weighed her, and she was all the way back up to 6 pounds 3 ounces, which they were thrilled about and totally shocked that she gained that much that quick, because they were only expecting like half an ounce per day, and she had gained far more than that. So she was a champ. But yeah, that's pretty much been our only hiccup thus far, and it was a really short one. And she's been a champ at eating ever since. Breastfeeding has become so much easier. I'm going to do a whole another video on my breastfeeding journey, because I mean, it was just as bad as I expected it to be, but it is like so worth it and like so amazing now. So it was worth it. So I'm going to make a whole nother video on that. But then at her 2-week appointment, I think she weighed 6 pounds 10 ounces. So that was perfect. And then again, like I said, at her 1 month checkup, she was just under the 8 pound mark, which is great because when she was born she was so tiny. Not like scary tiny, but it was just like newborn clothes weren't fitting her, newborn diapers weren't fitting her. She was just a skinny little thing. She was all skin and bones. She had no baby fat on her, and now she's chunking up quite nicely. as far as milestones, she's beginning to smile, and socially smile, not just like gassy smiles. Like, I'll like look at her and I'll be talking to her, making faces, and she'll just smile at me. She's also starting to react to noise. Like, if she hears my voice or my husband's voice, she'll try to follow. If I put a toy in front of her face, every once in a while, like a high contrast toy, and I'm like, you know, shaking it, she will follow it. She hates tummy time. Like, if I put her on a blanket or on a mat and lay her on her tummy, she hates it. But she's really strong. Whenever we have her on our chest and I'm burping her or she's just laying on me, she's like lifting up all the time, and I can carry her around and she has full control of her head. She's holding it up really strong, and she's been doing that practically since she was born. She's always had really good head control. So even though she hates tummy time, I'm not that concerned about it because she's pretty strong with her head. Obviously, I'm going to work on it. I want her to do tummy time so she can learn how to push herself up and learn how to crawl eventually, but I'm not that worried about it. She's pretty strong. Yeah, but she's growing. She still is in her newborn diapers, but as far as clothing, her newborn like sleepers, like zip-up sleepers, are becoming too short for her. She's becoming too long for those, but like newborn onesies and newborn pants, those still fit her. But I am slowly transitioning her into the 0 to 3 month size, just because I want to get as much use out of that size as possible, because I have more clothes in that size than I do in newborn. I really didn't have a ton of newborn clothing because I didn't know. Honestly, when I was buying newborn clothing, I was just like, these are so tiny. How can any baby ever fit into these? And then she comes out and she's too small for all of her newborn clothes. But she grew into them very quickly, so just keep that in mind if you're a first-time mom. As far as sleep, she's sleeping right now. She's actually been a really great sleeper right off the bat. And I've never took any like sleep training course or anything like that. I don't believe in it personally, but I understand why people do it if they become that desperate. I didn't want to be that desperate right off the bat. So I've not done any sleep training with her whatsoever, but she will go to bed when we go to bed, and she will sleep for 6 hours. And then she wakes up and she feeds, and then she'll sleep for 3 hours, and then I'll feed her, and then she'll sleep for like another 2 hours, and then I wake up for the day, get her up for the day. She'll be awake for about an hour or two, and then she's back asleep, usually either on me in the baby carrier, or sometimes she'll be with my mom, or I'll put her in her bassinet for another nap. She's not a huge napper during the day though. Like, she loves her morning nap, but it's hard sometimes to get her to nap later on in the day, like in the afternoon and in the evening, which I know that sleep promotes sleep, so I'm trying to get her to nap more, but it's been difficult the past week or so. But yeah, I mean, once we get her to bed for the night, she sleeps really, really well, but sometimes it is a little hard to get her to go to sleep initially. Like last night I had some trouble, but I mean, the most it takes us to get her to go to sleep is like an hour and a half. And then in the middle of the night, well, it's not the middle of the night anymore because she sleeps longer, but I wake her up, I feed her, and she goes right back to sleep usually. So I'm usually awake less than an hour when I feed her, so that's pretty nice. First brought her home though, I was concerned about her weight because she was so tiny to begin with, so we were waking up every 2 hours to feed her throughout the night, which was really rough just on us, and she was just such a good sleeper that it was so hard to wake her up. So like having the alarm go off every 2 hours and knowing that like it's gonna take a good 20 minutes to wake your baby up, and then it's gonna take a good 10 minutes to get her latched on because we were having issues at first, and then she eats for 20 minutes, and then it's gonna take another 20 minutes to get her back to sleep. Like, it was very tough mentally, but now that she's used to her routine, she does it a lot quicker. So yeah, at first we were waking her up every 2 hours, and then I gradually got her to 3 hours, and then I was pushing it to like 3.5, 4 hours. And then once we got the clear to let her sleep as long as she wants, she's been sleeping for at least 5 to 6 hours at a time, which has been wonderful. Like, I've never been like really at a point of no return as far as like sleep deprivation, which I was not expecting that. I know it can change. I know that their sleep changes a lot, and I think there's like a 3-month sleep regression that's coming up. She's only a month, but like I'm really dreading that if she has one of those. So I mean, I'm taking it day by day, and I'm thankful for every night that she sleeps well. And then as far as nursing, I don't really like to let her go more than 2 hours during the day without feeding, and most of the time she won't let me go more than 2 hours. But if she is napping, I know you're not supposed to wake a sleeping baby, but if she does happen to be sleeping, I'll just kind of gently try to change her diaper, and it'll like gently wake her up, and then I'll feed her, and then if she wants to go back to sleep, she can, but I don't try to push it on her. But yeah, I don't like her to go more than 2 hours without eating. It's just like a maternal thing. And I don't keep my eye on the clock either. I keep track of it on my phone, but I don't keep my eye on the clock. If she's fussing, I'll check my phone and I'll be like, okay, it's been an hour and a half, I'll feed her. But if it's been like 2 hours and she's completely happy or she's sleeping, I will let her go like 2.5 hours. And then once I hit like that 2.5 hour mark, I want to feed her. And usually my boobs are sore and they want to feed her because they're used to feeding her like every 2 hours during the day. And then at night, like I said, 5 to 6 hour stretch, 3 hour stretch, and then back to the 2 hour stretches. But she's really good at eating. She latches on really, really well now. The issues that we have with breastfeeding were never her fault. It was all on me. I didn't know what I was doing, and it was hard to learn, like finagling a baby's body and your boob, and it was just hard. But I'll get into that in another video. But yeah, she's honestly been really easy compared to what I was expecting. I hate to say this, I was dreading the newborn stage just because I hear so many horror stories, and I know that so many mothers have postpartum anxiety and postpartum depression, which I was definitely concerned about because it runs in my family. Just anxiety and depression in general run in my family, and then my mother and my sisters have both struggled with postpartum depression before too. So I was definitely heavy on my mind, but I have not had any issues thus far. And I think that just goes to her being such a good baby. Like, she's so easy to take care of. Never has she's gotten so out of hand that we have felt hopeless or helpless. And I'm just so thankful for that. Overall, the transition to motherhood for me has gone as smoothly as possible. And I couldn't thank God enough for that, because I was definitely very anxious about the first few weeks and months of her life. But they have been the absolute best weeks of my life, and I wouldn't change a thing about them. And they're going by so quickly, and I'm not gonna lie, like sometimes I'm just looking at her or watching her in her swing, and she's just so sweet and so little, and I know she's never gonna be this little again. And it's hard. Like, it's hard that she's growing so fast and that she'll never be this little again. And it makes me sad that so many mothers can't enjoy this stage because they're so anxious or depressed, or they're having a really hard time mentally. And it breaks my heart that they're not able to fully enjoy this first stage of their life, because it is so precious and so beautiful. And I mean, I will never forget these days for the rest of my life. And I totally understand why women become, well, not all women, but some women become so addicted to having babies. Like, I totally get it now, because it is just the most beautiful thing that you can experience as a woman. But yeah, I think that's it on the update for her. If I forget anything, maybe I'll write it down in the description. But yeah, now I'm gonna get into my update. So I need to clarify the type of birth I had, I think, before I talk about my recovery and my update. If you haven't seen my birth story, I was induced, and I was only in labor for 6 hours, and I delivered without an epidural. The only pain management I had was counter pressure, movement changes, and I did have 1 dose of hydromorphone. So that was how I managed the pain, and my delivery was very, very smooth looking back, all things considered. And it was not traumatic at all. It was a very positive experience. It was a very positive experience, and I wouldn't change anything about it. And I only had 3 first-degree tears, which were 2 on the sides and 1 on my perineum. And I had stitches, I think, on all 3 of these tears. I'm pretty sure. I've never looked down there. I still haven't looked down there. I'm not going to look down there until I'm told that it's all good, because I'm terrified. But yeah, that's a little background on my birth and like what happened to me, because I don't want to say this to gloat, but my recovery has been incredible. Like, I felt completely normal just a couple of days postpartum. I felt back to my normal self. I wasn't back to my normal self, but I felt back to my normal self. And I never felt like, oh, I'm never going to be the same person. Whose body is this? You know, like I never had any of those feelings. My uterus shrank down really quickly. Even just 1 day postpartum, to be honest, like my stomach was just gone. It wasn't flat. It wasn't the same as it was before I was pregnant, but it did not look like a baby bump at all. It just looked like a little pooch, and I had a little bit of loose skin, which I was surprised about, honestly, because I thought I would have a bit more of a bump that would linger, but I didn't have that. My stitches never hurt me. It never hurt to sit. I never had issues with that. I never had issues peeing. My stitches just never hurt. About a week postpartum, they started itching, so I would just use that Dermaplast to help the itching go away. And then one of my stitches, the one on my right side, has been it stings every now and then, but it's never been anything unbearable, and it only stings a little bit when I go to the bathroom. So I have been really blessed in that I didn't have a traumatic experience down there, and I was never super sore or swollen or anything like that. Like, I didn't have any issues. I didn't need to use an ice pack. I didn't need to use Tux pads. All of these things that I was planning on needing, I didn't need. And I'm really, really thankful, but I know that's not the case for everybody. So don't compare your experience to mine, and don't think that I'm gloating, because I know that very well my next birth could be completely different, and I could have like a 4th-degree tear or an episiotomy and have a terrible healing process. So I don't want to eat my words, is kind of what I'm saying. Honestly, the hardest part of recovery for me was I had a really sore and bruised lower back and hips, because I needed my husband to push on me so hard during labor. That was the hardest part to recover from, was getting up and out of bed because my back was so sore. And so thankfully, I was able to get a heating pad in the hospital, and that helped tremendously. But it took like a whole week for my back to not feel so bruised and tender and sore. And that was the hardest part for me postpartum, besides breastfeeding, which I'm going to make a whole separate video about that experience. As far as weight loss, I know it's a touchy subject. I don't like people to compare themselves to me, or me to compare myself to others as far as body image. That's always been a difficult subject for me growing up. I've always had issues with body image, and I'm not gonna say my exact weight or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure I gained a total of 25 pounds during my pregnancy. The last 4 or 5 pounds, I gained really, really quick within the last 2 weeks. I think it was all water weight or bloat or whatever. So I'm pretty sure I technically gained 25 pounds during my pregnancy, and then when I got home from the hospital, I had already lost 11 of those pounds, And keep in mind, she was 6 of those pounds. And then I think like a week postpartum, I had already lost 20 pounds or something like that. Like, it was ridiculous. And I asked my mom if it was okay because I was concerned about my milk supply. And she said that she was the same way. That's just how she was, and it must be how I am. So I didn't worry too much about it, but it was definitely concerning. And right now at like, almost 6 weeks postpartum, I am 3 pounds away from my pre-pregnancy weight. And I'm not trying to lose the weight. I never have purposely tried to lose the weight. It just kind of falls off because of your breastfeeding, and you lose so much fluid and blood and baby and placenta. Like, it just kind of falls off of you, honestly. And so I'm trying to like keep these extra 3 pounds or more on, just so that my milk supply doesn't completely tank, because it's definitely not something that I want to happen. So yeah, that's the update on me as far as like my healing process and my weight. My mentality has been really great so far, and hopefully it continues to be that way. Every day I wake up and I'm so happy to have my baby and to take care of my baby, and she never overwhelms me. And I mean, it's definitely hard. I'm not saying that it's been easy and it's been a breeze, because it hasn't. There's definitely been hard days, and it's difficult to figure out how to do everyday tasks, especially by myself when I don't have any help here. But thankfully, most of the time I do have help here. I'm so blessed that we live with my parents, and my mom has had 9 children and knows everything about babies, and she's able to help me and able to reassure me. And then my husband has been a wonderful help as well. He's been such a hands-on dad, and I'm so thankful for that, because I know a lot of women don't have that, or some women don't even have that option because their husbands, are in the military, or they work, 2 full-time jobs or what have you. And I'm very, very thankful that my husband is able to spend as much time as he does with us. Of course, we would love him to be home every day, but that's not possible financially. But when he is home, he is such a huge help for me. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm missing. I didn't plan this video out or write anything down, and I feel like I always do that, and I always miss a big point that I'm trying to get across. Overall, I have very few complaints, and I was growing up, I think I talked about this in my pregnancy announcement video, but growing up, one of my biggest fears, my biggest fear ever, was giving birth and postpartum healing and everything like that. And I've always wanted to be a mom. It's always been such a big deal to me that I have children. I just feel like it's my calling in life, and I've always been petrified of giving birth. And now that I have done it, I know that I can do it, and I would do it again 1,000 times over if it meant that I had my beautiful daughter in my hands right here. And I also want to point out that going in to give birth, I wasn't as nervous or scared. I was nervous and I was scared, but I was more excited than anything. And I mean, it's a very strange time to be giving birth during a pandemic. And when my husband and I were at our hospital, it was actually the most COVID-19 patients that they had in the hospital at that time. And still, it's the most that they had. It was at the highest peak the hospital had. And that's when I was giving birth. And you think that I would have been anxious about everything, but I was just making so many cute noises. I was really putting all my trust and faith in the Lord, and I was just letting it go His way. And I'm just so proud of my husband and I that we were able to do it all on our own. Again, if you've watched my birth story, you'll know more of the details. But it was just such an amazing experience, and I would change nothing about it. And I'm looking forward to the next time where it's not during a pandemic and maybe I can have my mom with us, and I'll know what to expect and I'll know what transition feels like, and that I'm not a wimp and that I can handle it. And yeah, it's just empowering, really, and I'm not ready to do it anytime soon, but when that time comes, when God puts it in our hands, I know that I can handle it, and that gives me a lot of reassurance. I feel like this video is all over the place and that I'm just not getting my point across very well, but I think that's all I can think of to say right now. I'm really sorry if this video was hard to follow, and again, I'm not trying to brag about my experience because I don't want to eat my words and have a terrible experience the next time, because I know that's very possible. And don't compare your story to mine. Don't compare your healing process to mine. Every birth and every woman's body is different and handles it differently. And the fact that you got through it and that you have a baby in your arms is incredible, and you should never discount that at all. I will show a shot of my belly. I'm kind of self-conscious about it. Not that I think it looks bad, but it's just not what it was before. Again, I've always had issues with body image, but I'm very happy with it still, even though I'm a little uncomfortable showing it. I'm very happy with it. So, yeah. I don't know if that makes sense. Again, I just feel like I can't get my point across in this video. But yeah, I think I'm gonna call it a day. I hope you enjoyed this video. Keep an eye out for my breastfeeding journey video, and I also want to do one of those reacting to what I packed in my hospital bag, so I can tell you guys what I actually used and what I didn't use, because I think those are some of the funniest videos to watch, and I definitely want to do mine because I have a lot to say about what I brought in my hospital bag and what I need and what I needed and what I didn't need. So yeah, keep an eye out for those two videos. I'll have a lot of other videos coming your way as well. So yeah, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for watching, and I hope you all are staying safe and healthy during this time and are having a wonderful week. Goodbye.